Okay, now that we have discussed about the domains, let's get a little deeper into the subject and understand what same origin policy means. What is the same origin policy? What is it all about? And why is it important? Okay, so before even we start SOP, the same origin policy, let me give you an idea. Why do we need to understand SOP to understand CORS? After all, CORS in HTML5 is what we are dealing with. So same origin policy is a particular feature that you can call, which is being implemented in the different browsers, in the recent browsers. Because if you go back to the age-old days when we had no security concern, nothing, then same origin policy was actually not there. But in the modern times, as we understand the importance of security, same origin policy has become one of the most important features that is almost implemented by almost all the major browsers. So what exactly is the same origin policy? To answer this, let me give you a very brief and very small example. So what happens is, if you have a particular script, let's say if you have a JavaScript, a page on a particular domain, let's say abc.com, and let's say there's another domain called say xyz.com, and on abc.com you have got some scripts which is trying to access the contents that are present on xyz.com, right? So this won't really be allowed because it will pose a security threat to the entire situation. And as we go beyond this, as we go further, and as I explain you sample scenarios, you'll be able to understand this better. So I'm just trying to give you an introduction to this. So yeah, so when a particular script on abc.com tries to access anything on the domain xyz.com, that won't really be allowed because of security concerns, as I said. And this feature of not being allowed is in place because the browser will be imposing the same origin policy onto the domain. So what it means is, any script or anything on a particular domain will have access only to the properties of that particular domain itself. Anything from one domain cannot really go to the other domain and access the properties from there. Well, this sounds a little confusing, so let's get on and understand it with an example. So let's say, for example, I am an attacker, hacker, and I want to get hold of your, let's say, your bank details, or let's say your Facebook account, or whatever, something that is sensitive, that is important to you. So I somehow lure you to click onto a particular, a particular link, which holds my my domain, which is say attackersite.com. And I somehow lure you into clicking onto that particular link. Once you click onto that link, on that particular link, I have a Facebook. I have Facebook in the iframe. Although Facebook cannot be iframe, there are certain measures to prevent a particular page or particular page on a particular domain from being iframe. We'll not get into that part, but yes, there are ways of doing that. But let's just assume for the sake of the explanation, let's say facebook.com, or let's say your bank, let's say hdfc.com. So HDFC can be iframe, and on my attackers page, that is attacker.com, I have iframed your particular bank's page, and I lure you to click onto my link. Now, if the scripts on my page if they are allowed to access the contents of the iframe wherein your bank details are being loaded, then I'll very easily have access to the things that your bank details, which is not allowed, which should not be allowed ideally, because if that is the case, you'll be losing everything. So that is where we talk of getting the same origin policy in place. That is where, even if this is the case, that I lure you into clicking onto my site, and if I have the iframe which has your bank your bank page open, and if I try accessing the iframe that has the different domain, the bank domain loaded into it from my iframe, it won't be allowed. So that is what same origin policy does. I don't know if it is making a lot of sense. So let's move on to a demo for this, so that you get a better idea of the entire situation. So okay. So here we have got two different domains. One is domain2.com and one is domain1.com. All right. So it's a sample page wherein you see some text written, a sample web page. It could be your bank site or anything. So let's say let's just reload domain2.com, and inside domain2.com there's a text box over here which says you can enter your text over here. So you put in your secret text over here. Let's say I put in my secret text, and I say press on the OK button. So what the browser says is the script on this page accesses the secret box and says it's secret. So this means the secret is the secret was the string that I entered over here. And since the script is on domain2.com itself, the script was able to access the text box from this domain and was able to access the value of the text box, and that is where it alerts this particular thing. So I enter some other string as well, and let's see, it does the same thing. So this is possible. This time I entered ABCD and it's being printed on the alert box. That is because for the same reason, because the same origin policy is in place here, and it is allowing the script on domain2.com to access the attributes and the elements on domain2.com, the web page on domain2.com. Now let's do it a little different. Let's go on to a different domain, that is domain1.com. Let's reload the domain1.com. Inside domain1.com, I've got an iframe in which I have loaded the content from domain2.com. So the iframe actually contains domain2.com. If we look and if we go ahead and inspect the element, we'll see the iframe src is here. So the iframe src is actually domain2.com, right? So we are trying to see the domain2.com over here. Okay, so now let's see, let's again enter something over here, and now let's click on the OK button on domain1.com, and let's see if it is able to access the contents of the text box which is inside the iframe on domain1. But the iframe itself contains a domain from contains the page from domain2. So if I say OK, I don't get any alert box. So let's try and dissect this and understand what happened. What just happened? Why am I not able to see the contents of the text box? So if I go to the console of Google Chrome, I see it says an uncaught security error over here. So it says it blocked a frame with origin domain1.com from accessing the frame within origin localhost because the protocols don't match, because the domains don't match. As simple as that. So this is what the same origin policy is in place. If the same origin policy had not been in place, clicking on the OK button would have actually been able to display the contents of this text box. But only because it was in place and because we are trying to access a particular element from a different domain, it is not allowed. So that is all about domains, and that is all about same origin policy. And why is it so important? So moving on to the next slide. Okay, now we move